Okay, so let's start. Welcome again, everybody. This is the summer meeting of the CURIOSOIL Community of Practice. We have the following agenda for today. We are still welcoming some participants joining the meeting. We will start with a reminder of the structure of the CURIOSOIL project, then a presentation of opportunities for the next 3 months. We'll have several speakers presenting each of this topic, why I teach soil campaign, the soil curiosity kit, the soil assessment framework implementation. And then I will list some COP opportunities for contributions until the end of the year. And then Katerina from ECOLISE will show us the food positioning process that is taking place with the network of organizations, members of ECOLISE. And then to finalize, we'll have the breakout rooms by national groups. Just to check that everybody is here. Emin is here.
Hi, Henrique. Yes, I'm here.
Hello, Javier is also here. I'm seeing him. Ingrid, are you there?
Yes, I'm there, but because of an update, my camera is not working. But I'm there.
Okay, no problem. And Kat, I think you are also there, right? Yeah. Maybe not speaking, but I see Katerina there. So I think she's already here. So just for if someone is the first time joining our community of practice meetings, CURIOSOIL is an European project. It's the title of the project is Awakening Soil Curiosity to Catalyze Soil Literacy. It is aimed at fostering soil education across society and understanding how to trigger soil curiosity and create connections between people and soil. Some of the tasks include the development of a soil curiosity kit that will be presented today, the co-creation of a set of educational products, course materials, teachers training programs, and also all these resources are co-created with teachers and communities of practice. That is why you are here, because we need your help and your engagement in all of these tasks. The structure is to begin with a soil literacy assessment to measure the literacy that exists and what is lacking in the soil education programs across 15 European countries, and to see what can we do to improve the situation. And then we will engage with educational public authorities, policy and decision makers, engaging educators to design new immersive soil experiences and creating a community of practice of education practitioners to implement the resources that we are developing in this community and this project. And then at the end, communication, dissemination, and exploitation of the results. And I will pass to Emin now to talk to us about why I teach soil campaign.
Okay, thank you. And hi, everyone. So this is Emin. I'm originally from Turkey, but I work in Barcelona for Revolve as a communication officer. We are the communication partner of CURIOSOIL project. We take care of the social media content management and everything about the communication in the project. So we designed this campaign, Why I Teach Soil, targeting teachers and head schools, providing them. We can move to the next slide, Henrique. And One more. Yeah. Targeting teachers and head teachers, head of schools, basically to provide them with inspirational content about soil, such as interview videos, interactive quizzes. So that was the reason why we designed this project, and it's been running since December. Yeah. So we started with a kickoff teaser in December, and then officially launched during the winter CURIOSOIL Community of Practice. And then we developed the campaign starting in January until now. And the feedback from the teachers at the end of the academic year in basically this month. Yeah. We publish some videos, mostly from the project partners. In the next slide, we will see, so we publish these videos one by one, and now this video you will see is is a video best moments from all these videos we publish. So let's just watch it. It's not too long. Next slide. Yeah, this one.
Soil suffers a lot with the way that we manage it. I got really intrigued about the topic and how soil can really affect our lives.
We need them to be functional for food productivity, but also to regulate the climate. And we like our soils to be healthy in, for instance, your backyard in the city.
Before stuff comes to our home, to our supermarket shelves, they come from the soil. They come from the earth. They grow and they get beautiful together in the soil, and then we buy them.
Gerade Thema Humus oder Boden ist für die Kinder sehr, sehr schwierig zu verstehen, weil sie dazu hier, vor allem hier in der Stadt, kaum Bezug dazu haben oder sich nicht vorstellen können, was sich im Boden jetzt wirklich abspielt.
One of our goals is to sensitize people to be aware of the importance of soil and going out of the classroom in order to learn by practicing, by studying, by doing.
Explore them holistically, involving teachers from different disciplines to look at a certain problem or certain question from different angles.
So it could be interesting to have case studies that could also be used, let's say, by a math teacher. It's not limited to specific subject.
We learn together, we share our experiences, we try to have our mutual goals and objectives. And by working together, we can actually strengthen education and be the important role models that our children need.
That's why we need to take soil into consideration and analyze everything that's around it and make it the main character of our story.
Also, we share quizzes every week on our LinkedIn page. And so far, they were quite engaging. Like in each quiz we ask, we receive 93 votes, 126, and the week after, we share the answer. So the key numbers of the campaign so far, we received 65 registrations, applications from different teachers from different countries, 22 of them from Europe. And so far, 5 videos have been published, but we have more to share because it's an ongoing campaign. And so far, we published 8 questions on LinkedIn. Since we launched the campaign in January, so far until June, we gained more than 1,000 followers on LinkedIn and quite a lot of engagement compared to other projects. And now we have total of a bit more than 2,500 followers on LinkedIn. So if you have any questions, feedback, anything about the campaign and what we do at CURIOSOIL, you can You can message me, you can send a mail to Christina. She's a project manager from Revol. You see her mail here. That's it from my side. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Henrique.
Thank you very much. Maybe space for 1 or 2 questions if the participants want to ask something.
Yeah. Any questions?
No hands. Okay, so let's move on. You can put it in the chat also, and we can answer it later. So let's get to Javier.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. So, will you pass the slides for me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So, my name is Javier Montellano. I'm working for Gaia Education, and then I am taking care of the work package 3, and one of its main results is what we call the soil curiosity kit, which is not necessarily like a set of physical elements, but it can also include that. The picture here is focused on my personal collection of soil and food related toys, which I've been gathering just like for inspiration. And which one of the exciting challenges in CURIOSOIL is that we are addressing all levels of education, both formal and informal education, and that also means all ages, like from children to grown-ups, seniors, etc. So definitely toys and games are also part of the scope. Can you go to the next slide, please? So here are some thoughts to like as a basis for the soil curiosity kit and for the whole concept of CURIOSOIL and awakening soil curiosity, like to reflect on the interaction with soils as an essential part of the human experience, because basically we are terrestrial animals. So soil knowledge is not just related to food or just related to agriculture. Soil is an integral part of the landscape, and we have always been interacting with soils. And to interact with soils, one important aspect is that we need access to healthy soils, which is again a part of the right to a healthy environment. Here, this picture, I took it myself in Madrid a few months ago, so it's a very urban environment. And as you can see, the children are interacting with the soil they have available, which often is just this kind of sand pit. And they were taking water from a nearby fountain, so they created this kind of this kind of pit that you often see like wild boars and stuff that they create to roll in it, and they're being super happy with it. So still children they will really have this tendency with interact with soils in any way they can. And so it's really important to try to give them safe and healthy spaces where they can interact with soil. Can you go to the next slide, please? So so then the soil curiosity kit, you can think of it more as a kind of cookbook or book of recipes. So it should include tools and ingredients that people should be able to find relatively easily. We will see now the target audiences, but this is intended for from family or friends groups to classroom use. we have another activities, another events which are intended to bigger groups. Like, for example, there will be the interactive exhibitions, so that's more for public. But this is more like in the range, like from 3, 4 to 20 participants. And the idea is to provide inspiration and some instructions and resources. So these activities, you can do that at home or in the classroom. The multisensorial and interdisciplinary approach, this is also something like all across the CURIOSOIL project, like to try to interact with soil in different ways and with all the senses. So we are also having within WordPack 3 multisensorial workshops, and yesterday we had the Artathon, which is also another WordPack 3 activity, which is more related with interactive exhibitions. And there we had the opportunity to paint with soil, to touch soil and model it, and also to smell it, and even to taste it through the work of one artist that maybe you have heard of them, Masaru, who has a traveling museum of edible earth. So you are also invited to taste some samples of earth, mostly clays for different parts of the world, and which some are eaten for health, medicinal, but also like ritual or cultural uses. Another very important element is to have a co-creation process. And then in the soil curiosity kit should also reflect this interaction. And also when thinking about these activities, these recipes and this material is like they're intended for a social environment, for social learning and for facilitating interaction between people. Can you go to the next slide, please? So, which kind of activities we want to include? And here is also where we are getting ready to deliver the first document describing the Soil Curiosity Kit. But we're also really happy to accept feedback and to engage in discussion. So this document will be more like a starting point, mapping the possibilities. And then have a co-creation and feedback process, and we are counting on you as the communities of practice, and then to have a final version which is more defined, and then make it available to all these formal and informal education groups. So one important aspect is all the observation exercises, tests, and experiments. This is something that is there are many resources around that, and we can collect some of them. Like you can and you can go outdoors or in a school garden. There's different activities you can do to observe the soil, to test the content in clay, test the sand. And this is really important also to transmit that have direct observation whenever you're available, because not only you learn from books or from other people, but you also learn directly from the landscape, from the ecosystem, and engage with your senses. Then games and toys, like the first question. So this is more about embedding into a game or a toy some important concepts, so you can learn them in a fun way. So one possibility for that is to modify games which are already quite well known, that they have a simple algorithm, like a snake and ladders in England, or Juego de la Oca, that's quite common in Spain and Portugal, I think, and even France. But introduce soil-related content. And then another very important aspect is to play with movement, with dance, with sound and music, with psychometricity. Another resource is storytelling. try to tell like the relevant concepts and also about the history of soil knowledge and the histories related to soil, and propose ways of telling them, of integrating them into different classroom activities. And then, of course, we have the more artistic activities, like we are exploring in the multisensorial workshops and the art-a-thon, like drawing and painting, sculpture and modeling. So these are the many possibilities that we can include and propose. Can you go to the next slide, please? So the groups and setting, which I already mentioned a little bit, like from 3 to 20 people. Unfortunately, in some countries, classrooms are even bigger than that, which is not ideal. But that's the idea, like to cover even from a group of friends or a family to a classroom or kind of excursion, association activity, and have proposals both outdoor and indoor, and cover all the ages. Either some activities which can integrate the different ages, or some specific activities for the different ages. Like, for example, some of the toys and the games, they can be like especially adequate for very, very young children. Other activities, they can be adapted to different ages, taking into account, like, for example, reducing the time or adapting a little bit the materials or having some health and safety considerations. And then activities that maybe involve more discussion, or more that they can be connected with history, with economics, etc. This can be either for older students or also for adults. Like we keep within CURIOSOIL, and the more we learn and the more we talk about soil, the more connections we discover with history, with economics, with politics, which are often not so commented about. And this is also something that we want to share, and that can be integrated into for example, history classes for teenagers. And then, like I said before, use materials which are available and affordable. And even if you have to build or modify something, that you don't require super advanced skills or a very technical workshop. So next slide, please. So this and more importantly, which are these transversal topics? Which are these concepts that can be explored in these many different ways and with these activities? So one very, very obvious and also really interesting one is the connections from the soil to the landscape, like how the different soils, they support different landscapes. And we could even go farther or deeper and go to the different types of rocks, and how that creates a different soil and how that's connected to a different landscape. Because usually even soil is kind of hidden, but landscape is something that most people can recognize more easily, or that they can connect emotionally to the landscapes or the childhood, to some iconic landscapes, etc. Then life below ground is another huge topic, and all soil biodiversity and all the soil food web, all the connections between them and all the different scales that are involved, from some animals that are pretty big, also a big diversity of animals that they spend part of their life cycle, or they do their nests or their shelters in the soil, like birds, mammals, snakes, from the very small soil microorganisms. And there's even also like a wealth of little monsters, little creatures, which often they seem very creepy, but it's also interesting to try to present them in a positive and interesting way. Then even a step further in creativity can be about soil magic, soil in fantasy, folklore, and mythology. And this is also interesting when thinking in every country. Like, for example, some good examples that I have found so far, but probably there are many more, and you can suggest more. Is like from the Netherlands, the kabouters, the gnomes. I think in Scandinavia they call them tomte. Correct me if I'm wrong. And these are also well known in Spain because of the animated series, which is based on the work of the Dutch illustrator Portvliet, and the series of books, which I think I see Mirte in the public. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the books are from the 50s, 60s, or even 60s. Even the last one from the 70s, and
Yeah,
they
80s.
Yeah.
70s, 80s.
70s, 80s. Okay, so later. So they're amazing because they have very strong environmental content, and also the illustrated Portfield, he was a very good nature illustrator. So it's amazing art, and also very good message, and very relevant. And then, of course, from Scandinavia, I saw there's some people from Norway in the COP, and also partners from Norway. We have the trolls, which are related with the rocks, with underground, with the forces of nature. And these are just two examples, but there are many other ways, and many ways that soil is treated in fantasy, folklore, and mythology and stories. In many cases, that can also be in a kind of a scary way, because soil, we should not forget that it's also related with death, and with what is hidden, with the forces of nature. But this is also something interesting to deal with. As I mentioned before, the influence of soil in culture, history, and politics, like how the history of the country is also conditioned by the kind of soil, but the processes that happen there, even unfortunately, how countries which are flat, it's easier to invade, and often they have a more difficult history. How also language and culture, it can be developed in countries that have many different mountains and valleys, and they develop different languages. So that's also really fascinating. And then, of course, also whatever you propose, or whatever you can connect through all this co-creation process, which is already ongoing, and then it should go on until at least until we deliver the final version, or a version that is already ready to spread and to be used, and that will be next year. So thank you very much, and I would be very happy to hear if you have any question or any comment and suggestion.
Yes, Ivan?
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's a last slide, but just with thank you. Oh, and this is a portrait of trying to use only soil-related colors of Elaine Ingham, which is the soil scientist. Like she's alive, still alive, and she proposed the soil food web concept, which you might have heard about. So that was her idea.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Henrique. Thank you, Javier, for your exposition and the work. I got a question. When we work at the schools, one of the problems we got is that there is a limited time. I mean, most of the times we have to go in a hurry, because we got with the change, if they are in an open environment, classroom or whatever, we have really available around 50 minutes. That's it. So is there any time programming for these activities, or do we have information about the time it takes to develop them? And another question is, when you got large groups, because we normally find 30 people groups, what we do is just use more resources and at least have groups of 10. We divide them just to make it available, really. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So about timing, so the important thing would be to present every activity with the materials, the age groups, the topics, and an important information is also which is the expected time that it can take. And then also in general, like because it's true that well, one of the main objectives of CURIOSOIL is to integrate soil-related content in all levels of education. And by now, the easiest way is to kind of integrate soil-related content with other topics. So there are already many other results and deliverables working on that. Of course, another level is to propose to give more space for soil, or even to create a specific programs, a specific subject, etc. But for this, for the Soil Curiosity Kit, the most strategic would also be for the classroom activities, like to propose how they can be connected or integrated into existing subjects. Like, for example, the connection with art classes is quite direct. Like, instead of we can propose, like, you can do a painting exercise but use soil pigments, or use some soil related figures, like these strange animals from soil biodiversity as an inspiration. So you transform the art classroom into something related with soil, without creating a new subject or a new activity. The same thing with history. Like, you can propose an activity or a project which is dealing with soils or geography. Or if we think about younger children, maybe in some cases it's interesting, because instead of if they're going to read a story, like we can propose some of these soil-related stories or soil-related characters, and the same thing with the toys and the games. Of course, one big advantage is when if a school already has a school garden, and then it's much easier. But the idea is also to propose activities that you can do even if you don't have a school garden, or that you can also do inside at home or in the classroom.
Okay, we can now hear one more question, or you can go, Armando.
I know we have a list of a few new members here for Portugal. So if you could post the links on the chat, or if you can tell us real quick about any new Soil Curiosity Kit materials that have come up since the last meeting, that we can access, and also people can take advantage of now that the schools are ending. But our next meeting will be in I believe October, if I'm not mistaken. So and some of us might be implementing some things in September if the questionnaires will be available.
Okay, so now let's get to Ingrid to continue with the program.
Sure. Yeah, that's a nice bridge actually from the questionnaire to the soil literacy assessment framework. Sorry about the camera not working.
Okay, this is just a call for the COP members if they want to participate in the next meeting. Sorry, Ingrid, just this slide was, I think it was supposed to be after, but now that it's here, the next meeting will be on the September 9th. actually right before the re-entrance of the classes from schools. And if you want to showcase education resources from the groups that you participate in or from the organization that you are from, you can reach out to us, to me or to Abdul, with a proposal of 5 to 10 minutes. You can showcase guides, videos, picture, diagrams, stories, etc. So you are very, very welcome to propose something to improve our resource collection. And now, yes, please, Ingrid, you can continue.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so about the soil literacy assessment framework, we're just mentioning the questionnaires. Well, actually, they are being, well, they are ready, but not, they are piloted at this stage. So we are actually trying the questionnaires with a couple of target groups, so to speak. And yeah, so that means they are already available. And let me start by asking, some of you might already have tried one of the questionnaires. So the questionnaire we developed for the general public, so for everyone except for kids aged well below 12. Can I ask, you can just maybe type in the chat like, yeah, I did the questionnaire. Because I believe Abdul made it available to you. Well, you can type in the chat if you tried it out, and in the meantime, I will just continue talking. So these questionnaires, both questionnaires, we have two questionnaires, one for primary education, basically kids aged 8 till 12, and we have another questionnaire that's for everyone else. We call it the general public, and it's all based on a framework we developed during the past year, based on certain main domains and then subdomains. So main domains being soil diversity, soil services, soil threats, and soil solutions, and then everything, especially soil scientists think the general public should know about if you want to increase your soil literacy. Well, and then I see Nafisa, she put the Qualtrics link, so the link to the quiz into the chat, so you can actually also try it out right now. And the aim with this questionnaire, once it's totally ready, is that we measure a baseline soil literacy. So what is the soil literacy in the European people? So we will do this questionnaire, this assessment in 15 to 16 European countries. And with that, we will try to establish a baseline soil literacy level. And then it's the aim that we have some kind of intervention. So it could mean for people to do a MOOC, for teachers to follow a MOOC and teach in the classroom about soils, inspired by the information you receive from the MOOC, or well, we just had a great presentation about the Soil Curiosity Kit, so elements from that. And then after some time, we will measure again the soil literacy in the people. And then hopefully we can measure, if we measure enough, let's say, that we can see some kind of increase in soil literacy. Now let me check out this slide because yeah, so here you can see the implementation and some links. The second point you can find, okay, so all these questionnaires, both of them have been translated into the national languages in the countries where we will measure this soil literacy baseline. And I'm also, let me check the chat first. Okay, nothing there yet. It's possible that communities of practice are involved in translating the questionnaires. Well, if you happen to contribute to that, I have a couple of quite general tips to pay attention to when I was translating the questionnaire or checking the translation myself. And that is that well, it's always good to have the original English one next to it to check out whether the meaning of the sentences is really the same. as the English one. Also, in a translation, a sentence might have changed slightly. The structure of the sentence, alignment of sentences, it might all have changed. And the problem is that these questions have been constructed very carefully to have, for instance, sentences written in the same way grammatically. And in translation that might be lost, these kind of aspects. So that's one thing to pay attention to. Any terminology used in the original might be a normal thing or understandable in English, but perhaps not in your national language. That's possible. It happened to me in Dutch. I don't really have an example at hand, but some terminology in English that works perfectly well is not working in Dutch. Might also be true for other national languages. And the third point I wanted to make, and this is especially the easier the questionnaire, so for the younger kids, the more difficult this is. Some of the questions are composed in a way that they can be that some kind of matching exercise is proposed, needs to be done, answered by the children in this case. But then the matching should not be possible by just matching words in a sentence. So that might be easy. Let's say you have to match a sentence to pollution control, and then in the answer the word pollution is mentioned. That will not work. So also in translation, these things it's very important to take care of these things. Questions always happy to answer them. So maybe the next slide, because that was what I wanted to tell about translations. This is about the school's engagement, calendar tracking approach. So looking at the table, soil literacy assessment number 1, that means that's the baseline of the soil literacy. So the level, let's say we all have right now. It's supposed to take place in September, October. So June, that's for the piloting, so taking place this month. That may also mean that if results from the pilot indicate that we have to make minor changes to the questionnaires, that's still possible. So we have to wait for the results of the pilot for that. But implementing the questionnaires hopefully takes place in September and October. So the green highlighted bit. Then, during the next line in the table, piloting CURIOSOIL educational materials and the Soil Curiosity Kit, actually that means that during that time, interventions take place. So that may mean that teachers may teach about soil, tertiary students might take a CURIOSOIL MOOC and learn a lot about soils in that way. There will also be a MOOC available for teachers, how to provide information, inspiration, tools to teach children, pupils, students about soils. So that's an intervention taking place in the time January, October 2026. And then we aim to have a second soil literacy assessment. So another time, the questionnaires to see whether the level of soil literacy has increased in the people and the children, in everyone. So making use of the products, the Soil Curiosity Kit, that is developed within CURIOSOIL, and that Javier has just explained to you about. And that's still being developed also. Well, that was my main story. Henrique, I don't know whether it's fine like this. Clear enough?
Yes, I think so. If someone has a question.
Questions.
Just to see better if there is a hand. I don't think so. So let's move on. And now a timeline for contributions for you to be aware of the next month's contribution phases. In mid-October, we will need your contribution to the soil literacy assessment framework. This is the questionnaires translation in 9 languages, as Ingrid was talking about. Then, as Javier said to us, there is a deadline, 6th of July, to the Soil Curiosity Kit. And then also in September, October, related to the CURIOSOIL app, also the feedback on the English one, and then the translations review by COP members. And just for you to know, the app is a virtual tour of the World Soil Museum. It puts soils that function, use an environmental spatial setting in perspective towards other important topics. And then at the end of the year and early next year, there will be also a feedback on the MOOCs, on the massive open online courses for my primary, secondary education, and also for higher education students. So just for you to be aware and prepare that these requests will be arriving, and we'll be glad to accept your contributions. And now I will pass to Katarina. Katarina, do you want to share the screen yourself?
Yes, I can do that. I apologize, I have an issue with my camera, so I won't be able to open it. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's there.
Should be full screen now, right?
Yes, it's good.
Oh, perfect. Hello, I'm Katerina. I work with ECOLISE on our advocacy and policy department. And we have been working on a participatory policy positioning process, and I'll explain more about what this is. So I'd like to invite you to zoom out from the soil and to think about food systems, which is what we've been working on. And why food? So food is very, very much interconnected with all of environmental crisis, with social justice, global trade, and the way we eat affects the environment disproportionately. But at the same time, food is a place. Sustainable food production can have the capacity to reduce emissions, restore ecosystems. So it's a very systemic, let's say, entry point. And that's why we started working on it. So why CURIOSOIL? I guess you know about ECOLISE, that we're a network of community-led initiatives. So we realized that community-led initiatives are very much involved in every part of the food system. So be that production or processing or distribution, consumption or reuse, CLIs are parts of all of these different levels of the food systems. In production, like community support agriculture and distribution, they're participating in food council, they make cooperatives, they make collective kitchens, they compost, they work together in community gardens. And why are we doing this now? So the momentum at the European Union is very important because the new commission issued what it called the Vision for Agriculture and Food, which will be, technically it's a roadmap for all the upcoming policies in terms of food. So we're in a good time because apparently it recognizes agroecology as important, it shows the food supply chains, it appreciates circularity, but at the same time, like many policy documents, sometimes they're vague, they're a bit scattered, they focus a lot of in competition in terms of production, and it doesn't give enough incentives in terms of agroecology. So we still need, it's very important to have policies and legislative proposals that are working towards just and sustainable food systems. And so this is why we bring community-led initiatives to the EU level. We try to bring community-led initiatives to an EU policy, EU level of policy making. And the way we do that is how community initiatives works, which is in a participatory way. So in order to, the process that we use to do this is that we start with the briefing and information phase, where we establish a shared understanding of what the topic is, and we start collecting good practices and mapping the stakeholders. Then we move on to a deliberation phase, where we collect the key themes that our policy positioning will consist of, and we exchange these themes in more depth to have a more detailed understanding of what the challenges are and what the solutions we propose. And then we move on, our next phase that we're currently working on is a phase of consent, where we co-create a document that the partners who are joining this process consent upon. And this document will be, as I said, is targeting EU policy level. So we will present it in Brussels in November in an event at the European Environmental and Social Council, Economic and Social Council. So as I said, we started in December. We had 2 visioning exercises where we started with the what is of the food systems, and then we moved on to the what if. Then we moved on to the deliberation phase. After identifying the key topics, we moved on to discuss them in depth. We discussed the first 2 topics on April 7th. And then on May 20th, we discussed the rest of the 5 topics. And now the next event is to present the strategy. So our goal is, as I said, to amplify grassroots voices in EU level policy. We will produce a joint policy positioning document, which will also consist of a selection of stories with food initiatives. And this is why I'm invited here today to contribute to this process. And finally, what we want this document to do is to build a dialogue with policymakers to promote these stories of food initiatives. So we started with identifying key themes. We moved on to what needs to change in this topic. Then we envisioned where we'd like to go. We found enablers. And then we also we highlight case studies that prove that what we're trying to say is actually happening and is possible. So I'll move on to what the key themes we have identified are. So first, number 1 is local, regional, community-led. So we need to bridge the gap between local production and cities in terms of food sovereignty and promote food systems that are participatory, they're community-led, and they are adapted to the scale of production. We need regenerative practices, and we need to describe these regenerative practices in a way that reflects the diversity without oversimplifying them. So be it permaculture, agroecology, or anything, we need to have a unified framework that entangles all of these farming practices without homogenizing these diverse approaches. The other key theme that we identified is that farming as a profession needs to be valued, attractive, and rewarding, because it's a complex profession that deserves recognition, it deserves access to resources, it deserves support. So while many people want to engage in agriculture, there are important systemic barriers like policy neglect and economic security that prevent people from practicing it. Then we move on to what you've been doing in CURIOSOIL, working on the education and raising connection with the soil and food production, because this disconnection weakens public health, it weakens cultural resilience, it weakens environmental stewardship. Sorry. And another part is knowledge, research, innovation, and tech. So we want to reorient research and innovation and technology in in a way that it goes beyond to technology to include knowledge diversity, infrastructure, and social design. We recognize that current research and innovation systems are often top-down, they're technocratic, and they're disconnected from the needs and realities of local food actors. And another important topic is bridging the urban-rural divide, so how we think of the cities to redefine what the city's role is in food production, because this divide has important implications on our food systems, and it affects everything from production to consumption to health and equity. And last but not least, access to resources such as land, like food democracy and equity, because we are used to viewing food as a commodity, but it's not. It's a basic human right. It's a cornerstone of public health. It's a powerful tool of justice. So in order to push for food democracy, we need to recognize food as a commons. We need to empower citizens to participate in shaping food policy and ensure that everyone has access to nourishing food, not just food, but nourishing food. So I invite you on July 7th at 1 p.m. CET to join our event where we present our current policy positions as it is, where you can provide feedback, and you can also, it would be great if you could share your own stories of care for the soil, and we could contribute that. And if you'd like, you can also send anything related, anything that you think is connected to what we're doing to us so that we can incorporate it. And yeah, of course, I invite you to register for if you're interested. And I can send you the link to register. Just a second. Register here. And if you think of anything, you can email us with your story, and we can include it in the policy position. And thank you very much for listening.
Any questions for Kat? Yes, Andy?
Yes, hello. So thank you for the presentation. I would be interested in knowing how the visioning worked. Was it done online? Who was a part of it? Because I guess that's an important part of the process.
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
So my question was how the visioning. So we saw the slide with the steps of the journey, and one part was the visioning. And my question is who participated in the visioning and how it worked out. Was it done online? Was it done in a physical space?
Hello, sorry, I got disconnected. You're asking about the visioning exercise?
Yes, about the visioning exercise.
Okay, this is a common, very typical methodology used by the Transition Network. And Juan Del Rio, who also works for ECOLISE, helped us with this visioning exercise, and I can send you a blog post that we wrote about it. But it's very much used in the Transition Network methodology as a practice to go beyond the what is towards to the what if. What is to broaden social imagination, what is possible. So I sent you the link. I don't know if I covered your question.
Yeah, thank you. I'll take a look there.
And please do write to us if you have any comments or questions, anything you'd like to input. I'll be happy to hear from you.
Okay, any more questions? I don't think so. I'm preparing some breakout rooms. Actually, I think we should combine some countries, because my estimation is that there won't be sufficient people for every country. I'm just making some calculations here, and if there's someone that will be alone, for example, maybe we can join you with other countries. Okay, then Turkey. Anyone from Turkey here? Maybe not. Slovenia. Okay, I think one more. And Italy, Croatia. Okay. It will be like this. I hope all countries are represented. Open, you can choose one. It will be like six people, I believe, in each.
Good afternoon.
Hello, Ruth.
Hello, Henrique.
Did you join now?
Yes, I received an invitation some weeks ago, but I made registration only now. I'm sorry.
We are starting the breakout rooms for discussing nationally. Which country are you?
Portugal.
Portugal. Okay, so you can join the Portuguese breakout room.
Okay, but the meeting started at?
Yes, it started 1 hour ago.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So
Maybe it was two in another time zone.
Okay, I'm lost. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, but you can join me too.
Ruth, where are you? Here. Okay.
What about me from Romania? Should I just join another room?
Is there anyone else from Romania?
Can I ask something?
Yes.
For Romania, that's very interesting. I wasn't aware that there was a community of practice in Romania.
I'm not sure there is either. I'm just here to see what's happening and how I could contribute.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, but that's just great because we need you. Yeah, so because
Why
there
don't you join the
was
Netherlands?
same, yeah, I was on my own in the Netherlands, so I
Yeah.
decided to get out of the room. But is it okay for me if I have your email address? Is it Andy from Romania?
Yes, yes.
Because we are looking for well, Romanian people, experts, preferably in soil education policy, or a soil expert, or just really anyone who will be willing to look at the document we wrote about soil education in Romania. And maybe you have some input for
Yeah,
us.
well, I'm active in permaculture education, and we've got an association here on the countryside that works with the local schools. So yeah, I guess in some way
Yeah.
we could contribute. Yeah.
Yeah, even I mean, it doesn't need to be the entire document, but just the things that interest you would already be very, very helpful. So if I can have your email address, or I just give you mine, and then you can send me, I can put it in the chat, and then you can send me perhaps an
Yeah,
email.
I can put it there.
Yeah? Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Looking forward to contribute.
Thanks.
And for the breakout, I guess I'll just stay here for now.
You can join whichever you want, if you want. No problem.
Okay.
Ana Ventura, gostaria de entrar na sala de Portugal.
E como é que eu faço isso?
Eu vou pô-la lá, não se preocupe. Pronto, aqui, apareceu. O José Andrade também quer entrar na sala. Hermine, I will join you to the France group. You can click. Sarah, where are you from? We don't hear you.
Yeah, I'm in Ireland.
Ireland.
Yeah.
There's also no couple in Ireland, but you can join maybe.
Maybe UK or anywhere. I don't mind.
Well, you and Tom, do you want to be together and talk some things, or do we want to enter another room?
I don't mind at all. Tom's fine, or
What is Tom?
yeah, that's great.
You can join the Turkey room.
Yeah, I've got a sister in Turkey. Why not?
But there's no one else there.
Well, maybe we could put all of us odd ones together.
Yeah, or you can talk here if you want also.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm from Denmark. Scandinavia is a Scandinavian group.
Yes, there is.
Will you put me there, please?
Yes. There you go. Regina, are you there? Ricardo Scalenghe?
Yeah, yeah.
Are you there? Where are you from?
From Italy.
Italy. Do you want to join the Italy group?
Yes, I don't understand how you are split.
Yeah, you can choose now. There you go. Okay, and Tom, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there, just in the office. We've got a communal office, so I didn't want to have a bit of a distraction. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it will be good if, since you are only two, if you join some other group and listen to the conversation. I would suggest, for example, the Netherlands group.
And I can say that.
Lovely.
Sure.
How do we join? What do we do?
Yeah, because they are all from CURIOSOIL project, and I can put you there if you don't know how.
I can't say it's a 100% reliable student. Well, if we limit the amount of time that he has it for.
There you go.